Hello, I'm Linkadash, a 17-year-old solo dev trying to make a dark fantasy-style RPG. I started in Unity by creating a basic terrain map. For the most part, I was just messing around with random tools and stamps I had, and adjusting the height maps to add depth and realism to my mountain landscape, as well as adding some textures using a package called Texture Painter and a free stamping package. I then used Texture Painter to add some grass and stone to my cliffs and mountains, with a little snow on the top using minimum and maximum height settings for these assets. This allowed me to make a simple mountainous landscape for the map, along with some lower, planted meadows where the player will be. After creating my map, I moved on to the camera controls, first working on mouse movement to create a first-person camera system. I quickly set up two public variables so I could adjust them in real time while playing to figure out what sensitivity was optimal for me. I intend to make these settings changeable in a menu when I get further into development. I then moved on to player movement. I wanted the player to be able to move around, jump, and sprint in my environment, and to add immersion using the camera. The full gameplay showcase will be shown at the end of the video. To add more immersion to my game, I added a simple stamina and sprinting system. I intend to add UI elements to help the player see the stamina bar and understand how much sprinting they have available. I then worked on increasing and decreasing the FOV of the camera when sprinting, and returning it to normal when moving regularly, to make the player both move and feel faster in the game. This further enhances the gameplay and adds a smoother feel to the movement system. I had a lot of issues with this, however, specifically because I am not very good at Unity scripting. I ran into a lot of bugs and Unity tool issues, where I would spend about 10-20 minutes trying to figure out why something wasn't working, or try a completely different, more optimal workaround so I wouldn't spend forever trying to make my game playable. After doing all of this, I finally saved, compiled my scripts, and hit play in the Unity editor to check how it was coming together. My movement worked, my jumps worked, and my sprinting FOV worked perfectly. I was happy with this and decided I should stop working on camera and player adjustments for now, as I didn't have any bugs, and moved on to working in Blender on the first weapon the player would use. After about 2-3 attempts at making a sword, I had this version, which I believe came out very well. I wanted to make a simple steel blade that the player would start with. I imagined a leather handle, a simple hilt, and a long, thin blade that the player could swing at enemies in my game. I will add effects and animations later once I am sure I know how to do so. I then moved on to the materials, where I mostly experimented with reflectiveness and metallic looks for each material, eventually settling on 3 simple materials and exporting the sword into Unity so I could test it after adjusting its height and position in the camera. Overall, this came out well for about 2-3 hours of work. I think that for a newer dev who doesn't know much scripting and had to rely on forums and AI for help, this came out well, and I am very excited to animate it and add enemies and different shaders to my game. I intend to make this game have a pixelated look with a darker, shadowed, nighttime aesthetic. I hope you enjoyed my devlog, and I also hope that these videos I intend on making daily to weekly go well. If my game gets a lot of players when I publish it to itch.io, and I earn enough revenue from that, I might even publish it to Steam and see how it does there.